Hey cruisers, welcome to part one of our two-part series where we're going to show you all the techie goodness that is in my hubby's camera bag. Y'all have been asking us to do this for a very long time and we finally said yes. Now let's just hope it doesn't go horribly wrong, because guess who is not the techie in the family and guess who's doing this episode? So roll with me guys, let's have a little fun. Bear with me. If I don't know how to explain something, hubby's going to step in, but you know. Just know that this may be a little bumpy at times. So anyway, we're really excited, and let me tell you the concept behind these two videos, why we're doing this 2 times. Mr. Cruise Tips TV said to me, hey, what we really need to do is show them what's in our camera bag right now from our last cruise, which was a 7-night Carnival Splendor cruise where we drove to port. We had all the space in the world in our backpack. We had no limitations on size and weight. And so we took pretty much everything that we would normally take. But then, if our community is interested, let's come back for part 2, where what we do is we show them what's in our next cruise camera bag when we're going on a 12-night cruise to Asia, where we need to lighten the load and we need to modify, because not only is it not a beachy kind of, I don't know, tropical type of a cruise for the most part, but we are flying internationally and you got to keep it light when you're doing that. So Mr. Cruise Tips TV has created a list for me. I'm going to be going down the list. This is everything that is in the bags. And so if you see me referencing the document, that is why. The entire list of items on this table has been added to our shop in the section called Camera Gear. If you prefer to look at individual links, those are also in the description box. Mr. Cruise Tips TV spent about 4 hours last night creating links on this stuff. We know that you want us to do that, so we did it. It is in there for you as much as we possibly could. So thanks, Ms. Mary, and everybody who's laughing about my wardrobe change. Yes, we were just live on our other channel. I did not like the way that sweater looked on camera. I'm weird that way, so I pulled my hair back, changed my shirt, and my microphone was also getting stuck in my sweater, so I had to do a wardrobe change. Don't laugh at me. All right, let's get started. I know that everybody's really excited to see what we have, so let's start with the bag itself. This is a Manfrotto MB-MA BP-A2 Advanced Active Backpack 2, and this is what Mr. Cruise Tips TV used on our last cruise. I'm going to open it up and let you see inside really quickly. We'll take a peek-see. So this is the top. It's really hard to open it up, but it has 2 zippers up here. Oh yeah, this is really clunky, sorry everybody. And it has a really big compartment here, but really the interesting part is what's down in the bottom, so let me open that for you. You'll also see he has some carabiners hanging off the bottom to hook stuff to, so he'll hook tripods, but here's a nice padded area on the bottom where he puts all the little items, GoPros, and different things like that. So that is the first thing that we wanted to show you. Next up, I want to show you the tripod that we take. This is a Whopper. Now, we don't always get the luxury of taking a tripod like this because, you know, it's really big, and if we're doing carry-on only, that can be a challenge. But if we're doing shipboard interviews and we need to mount a camera, this is probably going to go with us. So that is the tripod, and this is the case that goes with the tripod. And we're going to then get into the good stuff. So let's talk about the actual cameras. The first camera that we're showing you today, and I want to be careful with this one because this is our beauty. This is our main camera for our channel. This is called the Sony A7 III. And this is what you're going to see us using when we do an episode where we can mount something on a tripod, like an interview, or where we're doing an episode in our stateroom where I'm just sitting and talking and we're not moving. It's a relatively heavy camera. This has a 35mm lens, and we have an extra lens for it, right, sweetie? Is this the extra lens right here? So this is the extra lens that it comes with, and this is the 18-105mm lens. I don't know what that means, but Mr. Cruise Tips TV wrote it down, so I'm saying it, folks. So this is the add-on lens. Okay, next is one of my very favorite items that we purchased in the last year, and this is our beautiful little Sony RX100. This, you guys, is our vlogging camera, and it has a beautiful case with it, as you can see. This camera, what makes it super unique is that it actually has decent audio. And when you are trying to get decent audio, normally you have to use some kind of an external mic. And that is so annoying when you're vlogging or when you're just, you know, trying to film your family or whatever, because you have a microphone attached to the camera, and that is very clunky. So this little camera right here is an absolute beauty. I love it. Yes, Mr. Cruise Tips TV, you want to weigh in on this?
I'll jump in with a couple of other things,
okay,
because the audio is kind of secondary to some of the other nice features. The image is crystal clear on this thing. It does 4K. It only does 4K for 5 minutes, but that limitation is only for the 4K, and typically we film in 1080p.
Okay.
It also has a flip-up screen, which means that
yeah,
if you're vlogging by yourself, you can get a look at what you're going to be filming. And the stabilization,
this direction too.
Yeah, exactly. The stabilization
like
is pretty good, not the best, but pretty good. This is the newest model, but the RX4 and the 5 are equally good as well. If you want to save a little bit of money, go after the 5.
Okay. Yeah, this is probably the premier item that we wanted to show you guys today. And you can see how the flip-up screen is working. You guys can see everything behind me now as well. But this is a huge bonus because you're getting the quality of a front-facing camera. Did you just say hi? Do it again, honey. Go, do it again. Where's Mr. Cruise Tips TV? Okay, so anyway, my favorite thing about it, and it's a front-facing, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You guys know what I mean. You can use the high quality front facing lens without having to turn the camera around, is what I was trying to say. So let's turn this puppy off. I like to be really gentle with this camera because it is my fave and I absolutely love it. But let's talk about the power, everyone, of this. This is your best friend on any cruise. If you have a high quality iPhone or smartphone with a newer camera on it, this is what you should use to take pictures, because guess why? It's easy to carry it with you. I take probably 100 photos a day on a cruise on my iPhone. I take minutes and minutes of video every single day on my iPhone. I did upgrade to the XS, right? Do I have the XS, honey? Is this the XS? And I love it. The portrait mode on this camera, you guys, is so exceptional. So I know it's expensive, but for us, it is absolutely worth the investment. So let's get to the next item. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, my computer just completely went black, so hopefully I don't need to see anything right now, but I just wanted to let you know that. So we talked about the iPhone. Oh, yep, it's back, honey. It's back. Sorry. False alarm, live television. Gotta love it. All right, next we're gonna talk about GoPros, everybody. So let's first talk about the GoPro Hero 6. This is the GoPro Hero 6. We use this a ton. It is wonderful. It only has 2 or 3 buttons on it, which means anyone can use it, including me. I am not good with lots of buttons. I like simple. And this little guy is on a bobber, which is a flotation device, and also a grip all at once. You're gonna see me taking this down water slides. You're gonna see me jumping off of boats holding it. These are wonderful. Both of these items are in our shop, and the 6 is wonderful for quality. You will notice, guys, we didn't even take the GoPro 7 on our last cruise. So I'm only showing you the 5 and the 6 today. So let's talk about the GoPro Hero 6. The GoPro Hero 6 is in its home, which to me looks like a coffin. So Mr. GoPro Hero 6 in his little baby coffin, here we go. Let's hold this up right here. Okay, this is mounted on, honey, what is this called, this thing again? The GoPro stabilizer thingy I'm holding?
That is the GoPro Karma Grip.
Okay, so this is the GoPro Karma Grip, and you can actually, this is not set to a good stabilization right now. Look at the camera, it's kind of bouncing around like crazy. Huh? Don't turn it on, but you would, yeah, you'd have to power it up here for it to become a stabilizer. So I don't use this, Mr. Cruise Tips TV does, but I'm gonna put it back in its little home. And what other tech items do we have in here, honey, that I need to show them? Anything of note? Is there anything in here that I needed to show them that's on the list? Like this little ring?
No, just miscellaneous.
Okay, just miscellaneous, so we're gonna move on. Next we have the GoPro Fusion, everybody. The GoPro Fusion is GoPro's version of a 360 camera. So Mr. Cruise Tips TV, when would we use the GoPro Fusion? In the water, right? It's waterproof?
Well, it is waterproof, but it's really if you don't know what you want to film, but you just want to film, because it will capture everything around you, and then you can go back in later and use what's called over capture to create a 1080p cutout of basically everything that you were seeing.
Okay.
Or everything that it films. So it films everything around you, 360.
Cool. Okay, thank you for that. All right, next up we have our original 360 camera, and this is in its little waterproof enclosure, right? Is this a waterproof enclosure? and it's sitting on a mount. So this is the Insta360 one, and a waterproof case, and of course a little mount. So when you saw some of our Caribbean Princess footage last year where we were walking around and you were able to move the screen to see 360 on the ship and on Princess Keys, this was filmed with our original 360 camera. All right, so now we're going to switch over and talk about other equipment. So we're gonna start with our lavalier audio recorder. The Tascam is in here, right, sweetie? Okay, yeah, there it is. Okay, so this is the next bit of stuff that I'm going to be showing you. This is just another one of the cases that Mr. Cruise Tips TV takes with you. And of course we realize that this is probably total overkill for the average cruiser, but because we're vlogging everything, we are taking an arsenal of equipment. So please know that we're not encouraging anyone to take this much stuff on their cruise, but we do. All right, so this is our Tascam microphone. He has a nickname. I call him Mr. Haiti because I hate this microphone. We bought this microphone thinking it would be really great for our Alaska cruise. We're like, oh, it'll be so good. And it ended up making me more angry than anything in the world because the start and stop buttons are really clunky and slow. And it has a slider on the side. And if your nails are really short, it was hard to move it. You couldn't tell if it was starting or stopping. So we hate this microphone and we call him Mr. Haiti, but we still use Mr. Haiti because there's a time and a place for his little self.
Yeah, to be fair,
yeah.
It is a good mic, but they put a guard on the start and stop recording so you don't accidentally stop or start it.
Yeah.
But really, it just inhibits the function of it. Otherwise, it's a great recorder.
It's true, it does. Okay, next up we have the Zoom F1 field recorder. And honey, would this be used for interviews and things like that? Because I don't usually wear this one.
You don't, and it's usually if we are interviewing you or we're doing an interview with someone else, and it's the same thing as the Tascam, only it's the buttons are a little bit easier, and
it's bigger.
Yeah,
it's considerably bigger. Okay, so that is the second microphone, and then we have some ND filters. Are these the ND filters, honey? Right here? Yes. Okay, so these are ND filters, and I don't know what that means. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, do we need to explain that to them, or are we just going to say
sometimes when you're filming outside, you actually have more light than you need. So these are to cut down the light, so you can actually use a different f-stop.
Okay, sounds good. So the rest of the stuff that is in this bag is mostly just chargers and batteries. We're not going to go through every single charger that we use, but I'll give you a little bit of a picture of the chargers and how we label them. So this is one of our chargers, and as you can see, we label using a label maker which camera corresponds to the charger. So that's going to be the case on all of these. Okay, so this one says GoPro, one says Sony, and one says Sony RX100 or whatever. Okay, so other than that, this is just a bunch of batteries, and they're in their nice little case, the Low Pro case, very nice case for travel. So we're doing good here, guys. We're getting through everything. Now, this is the HooToo TripMate Titan Travel Router, which we've made a standalone video on. So if you're curious about what this is, we can get a link to you about that. But that's a wonderful product. And then this right here, I think this is our little light that we travel with. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, can I turn this on or should I not bother? I think I can turn it on, right?
You can if you want.
There's the light.
Yeah.
So that gives us light when we need it in a very, very tiny package, as you can see. For on camera. So that's really cool.
Or to hold like you're doing as a fill light.
Yeah, a little travel light. Okay, and then we have a mini pop-up white balance card. Can you guys believe all the stuff that we travel with? Isn't this crazy? And then we have a military-grade hard drive. Mr. Cruise Tips TV travels with this. This is a Transcend brand, portable, USB, military-grade hard drive, and this is the cable that goes with it. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, what do you do with that military-grade hard drive?
I use that to back up. Like if we do an interview or something like that, the last thing I do is want to, do an interview and then take my camera out on an excursion and lose that interview. So I back things up to that.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good. I'm going to go ahead and pop in and answer a couple questions that have come in. Jen Megsy, why did I take two? Maybe you're talking about two GoPros, just because we use them for different things. One of them we used in the water and one of them we used around the ship. Judy said, how do you do carry-on only when you bring all of that? Because all of this is in Mr. Cruise Tips TV's backpack, so that's his personal item, so it's no problem. He doesn't have any other personal stuff that's not in his suitcase, so I don't carry it, he carries it. Mel Isidro said, what's that bag? We'll show you, we'll give you links to all the bags in the shopping list for this video and in the description. Kit said, as a beginner, what should I bring to vlog my first cruise? Very little. You should take an iPhone, maybe a GoPro, and if you really want to invest some money in a vlogging camera, I would highly recommend that you look at the Sony RX100. We kissed a lot of frogs before we found that camera, and it's excellent, but you do not need to go overkill on your first vlogging experience. Okay, let's talk about the GoPro Karma Grip gimbal. Is this the gimbal, honey? No, this isn't the gimbal. So I'm a little out of order here on the list. Is this the GoPro gimbal?
Yeah, you already, no. It was attached to the
Oh,
Hero
GoPro
5,
was attached to the,
you already talked about it a little bit.
Okay.
The GoPro gimbal it's very handy. I think like all the GoPro things, they can be finicky, and when I first had it, it was very difficult to manage because it had a lot of bugs. But they've issued a lot of firmware updates, and it's pretty good, now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then let's move on to the next little grips and selfie sticks. So this one right here is the Insta361 invisible selfie stick. So when you put the Insta361 on the end of this and you see our videos, you'll see that there is no pole in the videos. Somehow it makes the stick invisible, which is really, really cool.
That actually works with any 360 camera.
Yeah, it does?
Even though Insta360 makes that, it'll work with the Fusion, and it'll work with the new Insta361X as well.
So then we have this little guy right here. This is this can be made into a tripod. Is this the Sony grip with a mini tripod, or is that the thing in the case, honey?
No, that's just an extra set of legs. So
Okay.
that selfie stick, if I wanted to take that selfie stick out, I could hook that to the bottom and
Like
use
this?
the selfie stick. Yeah, it's like a tripod.
Like that. So it's like an extension for that. Okay.
Yes.
And then the next item right here, this is the grip that we haven't talked about yet. This is the Sony shooting grip with the mini tripod, right?
Correct.
So this can actually turn itself into a little tripod, and you can screw the camera on top of this. So it's pretty cool.
Right, and that's actually a great little thing, because you can plug that into the camera, if it's a Sony, that is, and you can control the camera, the start, stop, the record, the photo, the video, with the tripod grip, instead of having to reach over and press the button.
Mike and Cheryl want to know if for an iPhone a stabilizer will help.
It definitely helps, but I gotta say, I have like 3 of those, and I almost never take them because they're so cumbersome. And now the stabilization on the iPhones is pretty decent, so I wouldn't spend the money. But like I said, I have 3 of them.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to take the time and actually carry them around and have people stop and ask you what it is and things like that, then it's worth it. The price has come down quite a bit. They used to be $600-700, and now you can get a really good one for about $160-170.
So it could be worth it. All right, sounds good. Fran, I know Mr. Cruise Tips TV should be doing the demo, but he doesn't like to be on camera, so this is what we're going to get. We have to be happy about it. Good question coming in from Buffet Heroes, Mr. Cruise Tips TV. You recommended a cheaper camera than the GoPro. It started with a Y. What's it called? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's the Yi line. It's just YI.
Okay, Yi. So check those out. Someone asked about what it's like going through security. Vanessa, that's an excellent question. Can you talk about what you need to do when you go through security? You do not have to take everything out of your bag. Mr. Cruise Tips TV, what comes out of your bag when you go through security?
Well,
your iPad?
Surprisingly, it varies. I'm always shocked if I have to take something out that I usually don't have to. Usually it's just the iPad or a laptop. Sometimes the camera, and it kind of bothers me when they take the cameras out because they're not always gentle with the cameras, and I'm extremely careful with my cameras.
Right.
But I would count on taking out your laptop, count on taking out your iPad, and you probably will have to take out the camera. But like I said, it depends, and not always, which is odd to me. But
yeah. John wants to know, when you do a time-lapse from the balcony, which camera do you use? Do we use the GoPro? I've used my iPhone many times mounted on something because I love the time-lapse feature in the iPhone. But what do you use when you do time-lapse?
Well, I've got to say that I have tried them all, and I go back to the iPhone just because of how simple it is. It is so easy to do,
and battery life.
And there's so many. Yeah. There's so many good apps out there. I think every camera I have has some kind of time-lapse feature built into it. But you know, it's just easier to use the iPhone and put it out there. And also, a lot of times I'll set them up and then walk away, and I don't want, you know, a $2,000 camera sitting out on the balcony.
Right. Oh yeah. What if it started to pour down rain? Like that happened in the Caribbean to us. Angie, does Mr. Cruise Tips TV have some kind of photography or filming background, or do we just pick it all up? Well, he is self-taught, but I should tell you, Angie, that before we started Cruise Tips TV, we did used to film weddings, not still photography, but videography. And he's always had a knack for the camera. We were completely self-taught with filming weddings. We both did it. He was camera 1 and I was camera 2, so backing up the video in the event that something went wrong with camera 1. That, believe me, that eliminates the stress when you're filming a wedding. So we did that. We didn't do it for very long. We only did it for about 2 years. I remember we were filming weddings when I was 8 months pregnant with my son, and I was running up the hills with tripods and cameras. It was actually really fun and a great way to stay active while you're pregnant, but it was exhausting. But yes, he did learn a lot of that, and he did have some professional training. We did attend a kind of a workshop or boot camp, if you will, on filming videos. And you do learn a lot of strategies when filming weddings about cinematic filming. So there was a lot that came out of that, but he's just very talented. Okay, yes, Jay Dura, for quick videos, GoPro and iPhone, that's it. That is all you need. Please do not overpack. Just take 2 things that you'll use. Someone earlier asked, what is a good starter camera? I would say that we can't answer that for you because we don't know what your budget is. Honestly, I would recommend that you go to Costco or Best Buy and look at what they have within your budget and see what you can do. Someone said that the image is out of focus. Is that true, honey?
It is. I just checked it, and it is okay here.
Okay.
But a lot of times what happens when you start to lose your stream is they'll go to a lower resolution on their end. So that could be what it is. Okay, great. You know, I'll jump in with the cameras about what you want to start with. If you have a brand that you like, that's what you should start with. Say you like Canon or you like Panasonic or you like Sony, start with that. I've been through just about every brand, and I've settled on Sony for a lot of reasons. I'm always looking for the complete package. I want, you know, crystal clear images. I want stabilization. I want good audio. And it seems like you can usually get, you know, 1 or 2 of those things, but not all of them. You're always going to sacrifice. And I settled on the Sonys because it has almost all of those things. Now, the stabilization could be better in my opinion, but I can usually get around that by trying to be really still. But if you want to do something like the Sonys and you want to try and figure it out, buy the last year's model. Don't try and buy the latest and the greatest until you're really committed to it. Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you so much for weighing in, because that is a very common question that we get all the time. I get messaged that at least once a week. John, thank you for the super chat. John said you're doing a good job today. You are, sweetheart. And Tanya, thank you for the kind words. This is definitely out of our comfort zone, this video is, you guys, because it's a tag team effort because I'm not an expert. So thank you very much for your patience. I really appreciate all of you. Okay, let's move on to the next little bit of items here. So let's talk about some of the cards, some of the memory cards, and I think they're all in this little case, right, honey? Is this where the cards are? Okay, so you guys, this little Vivitar case for carrying cards is a wonderful, wonderful thing to have because memory cards are super tiny and we really like this one. So what you're gonna see in here is 3 Sony memory cards. So we've got 128 gig, we've got a UHS-2 SD, a CL10, and a U3. We also have 1 SanDisk 64 gig Extreme Pro SD card in here and 5 SanDisk Extreme 64 gig micro SD cards and a variety of 32 gig micro SD cards. So we have lots and lots of cards. I know I really wasn't gonna talk about all that today, but I think memory is something that if you mess this up and you don't take enough memory, you're gonna have to buy it on the ship at the photo or camera area, and that's okay. We actually buy memory on board all the time, but we really wanted to just remind you that these little cases exist out there and it's a great way to protect your cards. So we do highly recommend them. We also have a lot of batteries that we sort of already showed you earlier, and I don't really feel like we need to talk about batteries. But let's talk about some chargers here for a second. Where are my chargers, Mr. Cruise Tips TV? I think we already showed you guys the Wasabi power chargers. Pretty much showed you all of these, so I'm gonna move past the chargers. Let's talk about some cables. This is where Mr. Cruise Tips TV is gonna have to help me because I don't really even know what I'm looking at here. Which cable is this, Mr. Cruise Tips TV? You know what, I don't think it's really necessary to spend a lot of times, but it is important to in my opinion, create a list and make sure that you do take the right cables. That's why they're on the list, because I always go through my list to make sure, okay, I'm taking this camera or I'm taking this device, and make sure that you have something to charge it if you need it. And getting back to the chargers, one of the reasons that I wanted to put them out there is a lot of times when you buy a new device, the batteries and the chargers are separate. And they're quite expensive. For a GoPro is a good example, and you can usually buy what's called third-party chargers and batteries. And I have been, you just buy them on Amazon, and I've found pretty good success with the Wasabi brand. That's why they're there. You can save quite a bit, if not half, maybe even 3/4 of the price that you would pay.
Joe Dura wants to know if the little Vivitar case is in our shop.
It is. It's extremely inexpensive too. I got that with something else I bought, and I thought, oh, I will never use that. And one day I took it out and went, actually, this is really good. This is really handy to keep everything organized, because you can keep your standard SD cards and your micro SD cards together.
Yep, it's in there. I see it. And is it $120, honey? I think it's $120.
No. That is actually what it came with. What you're looking at is
it's memory, and it came with memory.
Yeah,
is that how you buy it?
If you buy it separate, and it is in the links below, I think it's about $8.
Oh, the case is only $8?
Yeah, I think it's about $8. I can double check that, but it is not much.
So in our shop, J. Dura, I think that it's in there with memory, but we'll try to get it in the shop without the memory. Oh no, there it is. It's $9. I see it. It's in the camera gear shop, so you'll see it. Okay, let's move on to the miscellaneous. Is that okay, honey? Are we ready for miscellaneous? Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about this little guy right here. This is the HooToo Lightning USB iPad and iPhone flash drive. This is just to get stuff off of your iPhone or your iPad, right, Mr. CrowStips TV?
That is correct.
Okay.
So say you went out and you got a bunch of like once in a lifetime type footage, and you wanted it to be safe, this is what you would do. You just plug this right into your iPhone, you back it right up to the flash drive, then when you get home, you can copy it over to your computer or
then
whatever.
Should they delete it off their device, or should they leave it on their device and just back it up?
I would only delete it if you're running out of space.
Okay.
I typically use that as just a backup.
Is the PNY 128 gig flash drive similar?
No, because you can't actually directly attach that
to your phone or iPad. Okay.
I actually don't use those much anymore. I use those in case I start to run out of space on the larger military grade hard drive.
Cool. Sounds good. So we also had iPhone headphones on our list here, but I don't see them anywhere. So all of you all know that iPhone headphones are a good thing to have. What we do have, though, is we have what do you call these? AirPods, honey? These are the iPhone headphones.
Those are the AirPods. And we actually bought those because we thought it might be a good idea to use the built-in microphone with the iPhone when we were, doing like spur of the moment vlogs. But it turns out the microphone doesn't really do a good enough job for me. It sounds a little tinny. It
got kind of tinny and it made little funny sounds. And then I looked stupid. I looked like this when I was filming.
You didn't look stupid, but I just wasn't that crazy about the audio.
I didn't like the way it looked. It wasn't that big of a deal, so I could just cover my ears with my hair, but still. Okay, so that's another, we're going through kind of little teeny tiny little bits right here, so I'm going through them one by one. We have some standard headphones, a USB micro SD adapter. Is that, I don't know what that is, hun. Is the USB micro SD adapter one of these? No?
Yes, it is.
It is?
Yes,
okay.
It is.
All right. Anything you want to say about these?
Yeah, it's actually a camera adapter. The one in, I think it's in your left hand. Yes. The reason I got that is I found out that I could actually transfer the Sony video directly to my iPod not iPod, living in the past, iPad, with that camera cable. It's not a straightforward process, but I do like having backups, and this is an easy way to get the footage off of the camera and onto the iPad. Yeah,
totally agree. Seth was saying that he loves the fact that Androids have a built-in SD slot and you have more memory on your SD card than an iPhone will ever have. That's so true. Androids are so underrated. I think people go for the simplicity of iPhones, but when I had an Android, I felt like I had like a supercomputer with me at all times. It was amazing. But then I got tired of not having some of the things I really like about an iPhone. So, All right, so we need to talk now about the 2 extra GoPro lens caps. Now, these actually are really important, and I will explain to you why you need extra GoPro lens caps. This is what a lens cap looks like. You will notice that there is no string or anything that holds the GoPro lens cap on the GoPro, and you really don't want to lose it because it protects your lens. So we do recommend buying a few extra lens caps. I'm definitely bad about losing them because they're tiny and they get lost in my backpack or my, you know, my little beach bag or whatever it may be.
Well, to be fair, and I gotta say that you may or may not want to buy the lens caps. I buy the lens caps because I really like to take care of things, and I think that little scratches will affect the way the image looks. Now, GoPro will probably tell you you don't need it, but a lot of times you take it and you set it down on a table, on the cement, in the sand, and I just would rather have, you know, these things are really cheap. I don't know how much they cost, but they're super cheap, and they usually come in packs of 3 or 4.
Right.
So I would, you know, if you're like me and you really want to take care of the lens, then I would get a couple.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. GoPro will tell you that they're meant to be like rolled over by cars and they're rough and you can drop them and you can swim with them, but why would you sacrifice the integrity of your lens? Okay, the next item here, this is actually a little
it's a frame for the GoPro.
It's a frame for the GoPro, but it's also, it serves as a mount, right?
It is a mount, and a lot of times this is something that people forget, and that's one of the reasons that I put it in there. You get your GoPro and you pack up your GoPro, and then you grab your bobber or your selfie stick or whatever mount, and you can't get it on there.
Yeah.
Without that frame, you can't mount it up.
That's not good. So we have a couple more things. I can't find a couple things, honey. Where's the waterproof backpack cover? Is it in here?
It's down on the table, and it actually came with the Manfrotto bag down on the table.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, down on the table. Yeah. Is it separate from it?
It's gray. It's
on the ground.
Oh, okay.
It's on the floor. Okay, well, we have that. Let me get it. I'm going to step off camera. Sorry, guys. This is actually a really wonderful accessory. This is a waterproof backpack cover so that by just using something this tiny, we can cover this backpack in the event of a rainstorm or something. And you definitely, if you have a big backpack with a lot of equipment in it, you definitely need something like this. If not, obviously, you're just gonna keep your GoPro, your phone, or whatever inside of some other type of protected bag. But for us, that's a really good thing to carry around.
I have thought about taking that out so many times, and then I can't remember where we were, but we got into a torrential downpour, and I had my camera bag on, and of course the water's going to go right through that, and I'm going, oh no, and wait, I have that waterproof thing. So now I make sure I always have it.
So a couple of extra things that we have here. This is just a little bag full of cables that Mr. Cruise Tips TV keeps some cables in. And then we just have some standard batteries, just some AA's and AAA's that he keeps in a Ziploc bag. We mostly just wanted to show you how we store those, but that is pretty much everything. We have several little mounts and things like that we haven't gone through, but there's all kinds of accessories and mounts and things like that. Lens cleaner, lens cleaning cloth. But other than that, I think we're getting close to the end. We only have a couple more things. This is critical for anyone. This is just a good old-fashioned USB hub. This is this brand is Key Power. The one that we have in the shop, let me see what brand that one is. I think it's probably an Anker. Yeah, we have an Anker 40-watt USB hub. It's a wall charger, and that one's only $25.99, and it comes in white and black, but it's very similar to this. And this is kind of like the new extension cord that people are taking on cruises. So instead of people taking power strips and extension cords for fear of their being confiscated, they're taking USB hubs, and we couldn't agree more. This right here is in the industry known as a dead cat, right? But this is a microphone, and this gets plugged into the top of one of our more fancy cameras to keep the wind noise down. And by golly, we have a ton of wind noise issues when we cruise, you guys, because we're out on the open decks and the wind is crazy when you're underway or in a windy port. So this little guy goes with us on every cruise. And then this is kind of a funny story, but this is a little tin full of an extra microphone and some microphone covers that are really funny. They look like mini dead cats, but you can actually use like an old Altoids case or a little candy case to put your accessories in, and Mr. Cruise Tips TV constantly reuses things like that and puts little cables and microphones and things like that in. So that's pretty much everything, you guys. Anything that you think I've missed, honey? I don't think I have.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Speaking of Misc, though, I've been trying to do a lot of things back here. I've seen a lot of questions go by, so
Okay.
now is probably a good time. If you have questions, we'll try and get to your questions now.
Okay, sounds good. Let's do it. I am ready to answer some questions. John Kerry wants to know, what is the storage capacity on your military-grade hard drive? Do you know that, or do you want me to look it up?
It is 1 terabyte, and
Okay.
I do know that they still make these. I've had that one for quite a while, and they do make a 2 terabyte version, and they are extremely handy.
Yeah, good. Yes, Angie, Mr. Cruz Tips, junior editor would not be happy to know that anything was called a dead cat because he loves cats, right? You've seen his shop. He's
by the way,
fanatic.
it's not just a dead cat. There's actually a microphone buried in that dead cat. Very handy microphone.
It's a wonderful microphone.
Yeah, you don't have to pull it out, but it's called
Okay.
a Rode Video Micro, and it's for, I think it's only $50, and the audio is extremely good with that.
Yeah. Oh, Seth, you can't use an alias because I know what you look like. I'll hunt you down. You guys are so funny. Okay, let's find some questions here. I want to try to keep them tech related if we can today. Mr. Cruz Tips TV, are you looking for questions too? Okay. So what do you guys think? Do you want us to come back and do this again in 2 weeks, but with our modified camera bag? Yes or no? And please, you can say no. It won't hurt our feelings. If you truly think this is enough and you don't want to see it again, it's okay to be honest, you guys. Jen Megsy wants to know how much it all weighs when it's packed. It's pretty heavy. This particular setup is probably a good 30 pounds, Jen Megsy. I actually put the backpack on this morning and it was pretty heavy. I'd say 25 to 30 pounds, maybe a little less. It's heavy, but we don't always travel this heavy with cameras. Melody said, would you take an iPad or laptop backup, and what laptop do you use? Also, what video editing do you use? He uses Final Cut Pro for editing, Melody. And do you want to tell him what iPad or laptop you travel with, sweetie?
It changes, but right now I think I'm using the 9.7 Pro. Yeah, 120. I think it's either 256 or 128. I'm so good at taking them, taking all the footage off and backing it up that the space isn't a big concern for me, but I am using the Pro version of it.
Okay, sounds good. Vivi wants to know, I'm wanting to vlog for my first cruise this December. Should I invest in a nice camera or just use my phone and save the money for the cruise? Vivi, save the money for the cruise. I want you to use your iPhone and enjoy the cruise. You'll have less to carry around. If you really want to invest in something, invest in a GoPro, but don't count on it to have good audio, but get your B-roll shots with your GoPro, okay? Ginger wants to know if you have problems with your lenses fogging. She's heard you should use soap or toothpaste, but that sounds scary. We didn't cover it, Ginger. Don't be sorry. Do you have lens fog issues, honey?
We do have lens fog issues, especially like Panama Canal type places, and it's horrible. I wouldn't use anything on the lens. Yeah. I really wouldn't. What I do is I try to anticipate when I'm going to go out, because it does kind of equalize. But a lot of times what will happen is we'll say, well, let's go out on the balcony and do something, and we'll get all ready, and then we'll go out on the balcony, and the lenses immediately fog up, and it takes 10 to 15 minutes for them to unfog.
Okay, that sounds good. Sarah said, have you ever had any theft issues while in port and bringing this equipment? No, we haven't. We've been really lucky, but you do have to be very careful, Sarah, and I understand that some people do. Oh my gosh. Angie said, how much time do you guys spend on this stuff during the cruise? Filming, editing, and backup?
Too much. Wait,
editing,
a lot.
Editing is a full-time job for my husband. Literally, this is his full-time job. I'm not joking. It is more than 40 hours a week to get everything done. On the ship, I would say we spend less time than you might expect on the ship. What we try to do is bust out the camera, obviously when we're starting a new activity or we're in the middle of an activity, but we do not film everything we're doing by any means. But a good portion of time, but we still have plenty of time to relax and enjoy. But sometimes, some days more than others. On our next cruise, I think we'll take a few days off on sea days. The reason we'll take days off on sea days isn't just so that we can relax, but it's that we have enough sea days where I think if we filmed everything, you guys would just get bored, and I don't think we need to. So I think we're gonna probably take a couple days where we don't film at all. Ginger, yeah, we did talk about airport security, and it is shocking how little they make you take out of the bags. Sometimes they'll have you take out a camera, but most of the time they don't have you take anything out. It's very strange. It's kind of surprising. Yeah, Vanessa, we still do use the RAV power thing. Yes, everybody wants us to come back. And Night Audit said, I would like a reduced light travel video. Yeah, I think we need to do that. I think that the next one will be a little bit more light. And then what we might want to do too is, obviously we're vlogging. This is not equipment that we would recommend someone takes on a cruise if you're not vlogging. So maybe Night Audit, what we should do is just do an everyday cruiser, what should be in your tech bag, kind of an episode one day where we just talk about the top 10 things. What do you think about that? Maybe something like that? Okay, let's see what other questions that we have. We're gonna wrap up at 2 o'clock on the nose, so we have about 5 minutes. Robert said, do you have a room full of old video equipment? You would be surprised, Robert, we don't. My husband has a closet that doesn't, he has a few shirts in it, but it really is full of equipment, but we actually sell a lot of our older equipment when we no longer need it, especially cameras. You can get quite good trade-in value. So when we need to upgrade a camera, we will sell it. One thing that we have too many of that we often make mistakes with is stabilizers and gimbals. Mr. Cruise Tips TV has been on that quest to find the perfect stabilizer, and then he doesn't use them very much because they're a pain in the butt. And I guess that's what I would say. What would you say about that question from Robert?
I think I might answer that a little differently.
Okay.
In fact, I think probably a good metaphor is if I asked you if you have a closet full of shoes, you might say, no, not really. But I do have tons of old equipment, and I used to hang on to everything. But what I found out is that the longer you keep it, the more it just turns into worthless junk. Yeah. And so I started actively trying to trade stuff in. And I don't hang on to the cameras anymore, which I really made mistakes in the past. But I have tons of little, just drawers and drawers of things that I thought would change, make me a better photographer or cameraman. And they didn't. So
and then it ends up being wasted money. Mel wants to know how you store your GoPro stuff. He stores it in the camera bag. He leaves it in the camera bag at home, right, honey?
You'd have to be more specific about GoPro stuff. What do you
the cameras, the tripods, everything with them. I mean, where do you keep your GoPros?
When we're cruising, everything goes in the bag.
On the cruise.
Actually, yeah. I usually carry them with me on the cruise. If I want to travel light or I only want one camera, then I'll try and fit whatever I can into the safe. But if you've seen those safes, they're tiny, so you're not going to get a ton of things in there. I don't worry a lot about the GoPros. I usually put the lens cap on, and sometimes I'll even jam them in my back pocket. They're that small. But if you're asking about all the accessories and stuff like that, I've really tried to eliminate as much of that stuff as possible anymore, and I just throw it in a big drawer.
Angie said she had an idea for a tech video. If Mr. CTTV has the time, he never has the time, but he'll listen, it might be cool to show a couple of scenes from past videos and talk about how they were created. That's a fun idea.
Yeah, that is a fun idea. A lot of these things, it's really all about time, and we just trying to maintain the 2 full-time jobs and our little guy and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's hard.
I have a lot of great ideas that just never come to fruition.
Yeah, I know the list grows, but keep telling us the good ideas because some of them are easier to execute than others, and we want to hear what you want to do. Joe Dura said, hubby has original iPad. Any idea of how we can transfer photos from that to a card or hard drive? It has the old connector.
Yeah, they make a kit for that as well. You may have a hard time finding it though. It's really just a cable. They call it a kit. They call it a camera kit. But I haven't seen those in a long time. You might have to look on eBay. Okay. It may be time to invest in a new iPad. They've come down quite a bit. They're quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, Seth. Good having you here today. Let's see here. There was a question. Oh, Mel was clarifying regarding the storage question. It was, how do you store your GoPro accessories?
Well, now I don't care too much about it. I did invest in something a while back ago that I thought was really unique. It's called a Roll Pro. Roll Pro?
Yeah.
It's basically, let me go get it. I'll go get it and I'll come back real quick.
I'll answer some more questions while you do that.
Okay.
Okay, so Ginger said, what are the most important moments to capture? I think it's a tough question because sometimes you don't know them until they're happening, Ginger. But for us, we like our vlogs to tell a story. So we focus on every day having a beginning, middle, and end. So constantly in the morning talking about what you're going to be doing for the day, then showing that thing happening, then having a middle, then having an end and a closing. But for me, I think the most important things would probably be adventure. You know, it's a hard one. I have to think about it.
Just look for the smiles.
Fun and smiles. I love that answer.
If everyone's smiling and your camera isn't on, then you got to rethink it.
Is this the storage thing for the accessories?
It is, and it's
okay.
It's very handy, but I find it's too much, and I don't want to pack it anymore. So it kind of sits in the closet.
But that's okay because it's what you store your stuff in at home, and then everything gets put into the bag for the trip, right? Okay. Let's see. Thanks, Mike and Cheryl, for the kind words. We really appreciate it. No, Ginger, we're not going to make a course on filming and vlogging. Not right now. Maybe way down in the future that would happen, but I don't think we have the time. It took us 6 months to make the Intro to Cruising Masterclass, and it was the hardest thing we've ever done. And so right now I don't have any plans to, but it's a wonderful idea. So I love that. Thanks for all the ideas, you guys, about doing a behind the scenes or how to on some of this stuff. Maybe someday we could do that.
We did do one. We did a behind the scenes video, and I don't think it got...
Are you talking about a behind the scenes of our first live stream?
Well, I don't think it was our first live stream, but it was definitely behind the scenes, and we kind of showed you. I think I did it by myself, too.
Yeah,
I showed you the whole setup at the time.
Okay. We do have that. That was fun.
I don't know how old it is.
It's old because it was right when we first started live streaming. All right, everybody, we are going to go ahead and get signed off. Thank you for the kind words, Kit and Miwa and everyone who's here and supporting this today. I hope that this is what you expected and wanted to see. We did get a lot of yeses when we asked if we should do this again with a scaled down version for our Asia cruise. It will still be focused on what a vlogger packs and not necessarily an everyday cruiser, but we will definitely make note of the fact that you guys would love to see an everyday cruiser's gear video. But we thought this would be a fun behind the scenes. So let's talk about what's going on next weekend. Next weekend here on our Cruise Gear channel, I believe that on Sunday, which I think is the 18th, I'm finally going to be doing my cruise haul video. So for those of you who want to see my cruise haul, this will be our first ever haul. I'm going to be showing you all the things I've purchased for our cruise to Asia. Price tag's still on in most cases, haven't even been washed. If it's clothing, we're going to go through all of it, why I bought it, what my intentions are, and I might have you guys help me to trim it down because I can't take all of it because we're carry-on only again. So stay tuned. Follow us on social media. We will make sure that we let you all know when we're going live. I will be sure to post that. And for those of you who are interested in the Intro to Cruising Masterclass, we have 7 more days of the introductory period to sign up at the reduced rate. Link is in the description. Thank you guys so very much. We appreciate you. This was really, really fun. We will see you soon, but until next time, get in gear and get cruising. Bye, everybody.
First mate of the week.